Hello again. Next, I will show you another simple example on layouts for WorkCAD3. In this case, what I have done is to create a layout we will be able to choose the different sources in a BLR. I'm going to launch the layout to see how it will look. We have 3 buttons, each one of them associated with a source, and we can change between them. I'm going to choose the project and to create it from scratch. File, new project, we advance in the wizard, and we will have created the project. The first thing I'm going to do is to add the panel, and later I will add the buttons. So let's go to the toolbox, and inside widgets, we'll see that we have a panel, and we have to drag it on the layout page. Then, what I'm going to do is to add the different buttons again in the toolbox. So widgets, button, we drag it on the panel. I could follow the same steps or copy the elements or duplicate them, but if I press Ctrl C and Ctrl D, I'll duplicate the button. As you can see, I duplicated the button and it kept the hierarchy that has the first one. That is to say, at the moment that I have 2 buttons that are inside the panel, which are also within a page. I'm going to duplicate another button and we will see how the project inspector maintains its hierarchy. Now we will have 3 buttons. Then what I'm going to do next is rename all of them. By double-clicking on the element, we can modify the text that we see. So double-click and we will call source 0 to the first button. Then source 1. And finally source 2. Then what I'm going to do is to choose the type of button, since we cannot choose 2 sources simultaneously. The type of button is toggle, and it is a switch type and exclusive. That means that we cannot choose more than 1 button inside the panel. We have to do the same for the rest, as all of them as exclusive. And now we are going to give the values corresponding to each button to associate them with a determined source. Therefore, for sub-0, the value that will indicate which source is associated with the maximum value, we have to choose maximum value 0. For source 1, maximum value 1. And for source 2, maximum value 2. You have to know that to make it happen, we have to change the source. The trigger condition is an increase between the widget minimum value and the maximum value of it. For the second source, the minimum value is 0 and the maximum is 2. There is an increase for the first source. The minimum value is 0 and the maximum 1. And for the 0 source, as the maximum is 0, we must include a minimum negative value. So when we press the button, there will be an increase from minimum to maximum, and there will be a change of source. So we already have configured the values, the type of button, and the name. The next thing we are going to do is to add the device we want to control with these buttons. We go to the toolbox, and inside devices, in the blue line, we will drag a BLR2 Lite. We drag on the layout, and now we have it in the Devices tab. If we click on Device to go to the parameters, we can control. We see the source appearing as we drag the parameter on each of the buttons. And then we press one of the buttons and we go to the Actions and Parameters tab. We see how the parameter button is included. If we deploy, we see how in the event the value will change from the lowest to the highest. That's why we modify the minimum value in source 0, which is linked to a BLR2 Lite. And then the parameter we control is the source. We should link the device to our network, and for doing this we click on it in the Configuration tab, either through Mac or by the name. We would link the device to the network and we will choose UDP type connection. Let's launch the layout to see how it will look. As you can see, when we click on each of the buttons, we will choose the source that is associated to each one of them. Thank you very much. I hope this video has been useful.